welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N.
Coming up on the show, we build a party of adventurers and head into the labyrinth with Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold.
Plus, we test our tactics in a game of world domination from Minecraft creators Mojang. It's Crown and Council.
If you really could rule the world, Bajo, what would be your first decree?
Why, Darren, that would be free toasted cheese sandwiches for everyone.
Oh, that's very philanthropic of you, Bajo.
Oh, thanks, Hex. Well, they're going to need the energy to build my giant temple on top of a mountain surrounded by a lake of fire. What about you?
Well, I would feed the sick and the hungry.
Oh, perfect. You can give them my cheese toasted sandwiches so they can then build the temple that I referenced earlier.
All right, you two, enough jibber-jabber. It's time to put on your thinking caps and try to answer my Darren's Challenge! Today, I'm asking you this. In Kerbal Space Program, what is the name of the planet that represents our own planet Jupiter? Answer at the end of the show.
Oh, good question, Darren, but for now we should check out some of Goose's gaming picks. What's up, Goose?
Goosey!
Hey guys!
Hey, Goose, what would be your first decree if you were ruler of the world?
Ooh, I think it would have to be beards for all.
I can't grow a beard?
Well, the beards would be mandatory, Hex, so fake beards would be handed out to those who couldn't grow them.
Oh.
What a wonderful world it would be. Alright, now here are my gaming picks for this week. And first up, Nintendo has revealed some new info about their movie plans. They say they'd like to do as much of the filmmaking process themselves as possible, but they're still looking for a full-time partner. No exact details were given on what their first film project is planned to be, but they aim to have whatever it is in cinemas within the next 2 to 3 years. Meanwhile, more news has emerged about the upcoming Tetris film. Producers have revealed that not only will they somehow stretch the idea of Tetris into a feature film, they're going to stretch it into 3 films. Yes, Tetris, the movie, will now supposedly be the first part of a trilogy, which will be an epic sci-fi thriller. I'll believe it when I see it. And finally, Microsoft has announced that they'll be shutting down support for their game creator Project Spark and that it's no longer for sale. They advise that for any existing users, online services will stop after the 12th of August, meaning they will no longer be able to upload or download user-generated creations. I guess you could say it lost its spark. Well, that's all my picks for this week, so back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Goose. Crown and Council is a simple free-to-play strategy game made by Mojang, the same team behind a little game known as Minecraft.
The idea came from a game jam, which is an event where developers try to make little games over a short period of time. Everyone at Mojang enjoyed it, so they finished it and released it for free.
The goal of the game is to claim neighbouring land around a map until you are king of the world. There are, of course, other kingdoms with the same goal. So you'll spend a lot of time in this game fighting for control.
As you progress, you'll be introduced to new units, all of which cost different amounts of gold to use. The ship allows you to claim land across the sea. Forts make your land harder to capture. Building villages earns you more gold per turn. And building universities allows you to upgrade your units.
Once you've unlocked all of the units, the game really becomes about what to spend your gold on. Sometimes I just go all out and take everything from the start, but other times I found it worked better to build a base, save up, and strike later.
I enjoyed watching the control of land move back and forth over a match. There was something oddly satisfying about slowly turning the whole map blue.
You'll have to rely on your luck to do that, Bajo, because Crown and Council's mechanics rely a lot on randomness. Whenever you attempt to take land, there's a chance you'll fail, and then there are events which can just destroy your hard-earned buildings.
Well, I thought the randomness was a bit too unfair at times. I just didn't feel like I had enough control over the outcome of the game because of this. The sea levels were particularly painful because boats cost so much to use, and if your boat fails, then you have to wait and save up money again.
I agree they weren't very much fun to play, but when the maps had a lot of land, I found the game was quite fun, as I had more space to build and many more options in my path to victory.
There are options to change part of the game if you're having trouble, but just like Minecraft, you'll have to find most of this information elsewhere, because the game doesn't really teach you.
Yes, it would have been nice to know that I could have restarted the match instead of just waiting for the computer to play for 10 minutes without me. But I know that now, Darren. Thank you very much.
Well, if you don't want to watch robots play, you can always generate new maps and play with up to 3 other humans if you'd like, Bajo.
Well, this is where the game is really at its best, because you can choose to play on maps that are more fun, and it feels slightly fairer because everyone is at the mercy of the random number generator. Well, we should wrap this up, Bajo. Final thoughts?
Well, it is a simple game, but it is free to play, so if you think you might like this kind of thing, why not give it a go? I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I can see some people getting some enjoyment out of the strategy here, but it's definitely not for everyone, so I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 as well.
Oh, speaking of strategy, it's now time for another important gaming strategy session from Goose and me. Roll the tape, Lee.
I've been thinking, my lord. I feel the best course of action would be to attack by land.
Nay, Sir Goose. I believe we should attack by sea.
Ooh. Well, the thing is, Your Grace, that might not be the best course of action, as I've been having quite a lot of trouble with the destroyers in World of Warships of late.
Aha, sir. That is indeed a fascinating topic. Compared to the mighty battleships, carriers, and cruisers, the destroyers in World of Warships at first seem to be puny indeed. But they have a secret weapon. The Elemental.
Yes?
The Elemental.
Yes, go on, my lord.
Surprise!
Very good.
Destroyers are fast and agile, and because they're tiny, they're hard to detect. To succeed, a destroyer captain must be sneaky. By anticipating where enemy ships will go, and by lying in wait, you can ambush much bigger foes with your torpedo attacks.
Why, yes, that is right, my lord. Destroyers can fire spreads of torpedoes that can devastate much larger vessels, but you have to get very close to use them. But I've been thinking, Your Grace, what if you're spotted? How can you be sneaky then?
When you're caught out in the open, your speed can protect you. You simply have to make it as hard as possible for the enemy guns to hit you by turning left, then right as you move forward, slithering like a snake.
Ah, serpentine. I get it. Because destroyers can steer so fast, they can turn between incoming torpedoes.
Affirmative. And if things get uncomfortable, you can activate your speed boost and pop your smoke to cover your escape. They have long cooldown times though, so make sure to save them until you really need them.
But how will I know when I'm in the clear, my lord?
Well, make sure the first skill any destroyer captain learns is situation awareness. An alert will pop up when the enemy can see you. Also, be mindful of your detection range and use the Alt key to see how close all the other ships are, so you stay invisible as long as possible.
So I have noticed that many destroyers have anti-air defense.
Affirmative, but you should leave your AA turned off if you're not facing an imminent air attack. Otherwise, you might draw attention to yourself. Once you are spotted, the enemy team will go out of their way to blast you. They're afraid of your torpedoes. So use islands to hide and make sure the enemy doesn't see you until it's too late.
Enemy battleships suck.
Your Grace, I must say, that is a tremendous strategy.
So, Sir Goose, will you be joining me on my new maritime expedition? I hope to discover a new continent.
Well, my lord, why don't you head off without me and I'll stay back here and usurp you as king?
What was that?
I said I'll guard the castle for you.
Aha! I can always count on you, Sir Goosey Gandelot.
Darren, another brilliant strategy delivered in what I might say was a smashing robe.
Oh, thank you. Your king is pleased. Flattery acknowledged. But now it's time for you two to go answer some questions at the Ask Spawn Point desk.
Okay, well, let's start things off with this question from King Royale, who is in Royale Town in Victoria. Hey, GGSP. I'm here to ask you, when are you going to review Clash Royale?
Well, Your Royal Highness... A lot of people in the office are playing Clash Royale, which is the new game from the developers of Clash of Clans.
And while we'd love to review it, it has sadly been rated M from what we can see, which does mean that we can't review it here.
But we did notice last year that Clash of Clans seemed to get an M rating and then got re-rated PG later on. So if we notice Clash Royale ever ends up getting re-rated PG, it might be one we end up reviewing.
As for why those ratings changed, well, they seem to be the result of a new automated rating system, which I guess just figured Clash of Clans was worth an M due to some light animated violence.
But I guess once real people reviewed that rating, they figured it was more of a PG level of violence.
All right, well, speaking of reviews, let's move on to this one from the Turducken King, who is in the Royal Palace of Granny's Oven in Victoria.
So much royalty. Hey GGSP, why did you review Risk of Rain when it came out years ago? I personally have had it for about 3, maybe 4 years, thanks GGSP. Bajo, do these.
So what goes sideways? Meow.
Thank you, Sir Bajo.
Well, yes, Risk of Rain did originally come out back in 2013, but we reviewed it recently since it had just come out for the PS4 and Vita.
Yeah, so sometimes when old games get released on a new platform, it can be a good time to review them, especially if we missed it when it originally came out.
Well, I think that answers that, so let's move along to this one from Generic Banana Lord, who is in the Gold Coast, Queensland, in Queensland.
Hex, I forgot to bow to the Turducken King.
Oh, yeah? Hi guys! So I had a Wii and Nintendo announced they'd stop supporting it. Then they said they'd stopped manufacturing it. What's the difference? Also, would it be worth getting a Wii U? Thanks, love the show. P.S. Bajo, do these.
A little bit.
P.P.S. Bajo, can you beatbox?
Well, your generic lordship. Firstly, and most importantly, I can indeed beatbox. I have what you might call slick fly beatboxing skills.
Really? Alright, well, why don't you give us a demonstration?
Oh, I'd be glad to, Hex. Hold on to your pants. The beatbox Bajo boy is in the house. Wicked, drop the beat, Darren!
Okay, you should probably never do that again.
You're right. I wouldn't want to blow people's minds with that amazing performance once more.
All right, well, anyway, when a company says they're going to stop supporting a console, it usually means they're not going to be developing any new games or software for it. And sometimes it means they might be shutting down online features as well.
But when they say they're going to stop manufacturing it, that means they are going to stop physically making new consoles. So from that point on, you'll only be able to buy whatever consoles already exist, whether they're unsold new ones or pre-owned old ones.
And as Darren suggested last week, it might be a good idea to hold off on purchasing a Wii U until we hear more about Nintendo's new console, which is due out early next year. But let's move on now to this one from Incorrectness Corrector, aka Seb, who is in Correct Land in South Australia. Sounds like this guy's got some correcting to do.
Yeah, is a correction master, by the sounds of it, Hex. The correction master! Correct! Break it down, Darren! Hi GGSP! Last us Spawnling asked a question about how to build a TARDIS without special effects. And Darren said about using a nether portal. There are a lot of cons of using that model. The TARDIS is massive, and there is a loading screen. A much easy way is to build a very small room, place a command block down, put the correct teleport command in it, and put a pressure plate on top. Doing it this way is easy because it gets you there instantly, there and back quickly with no loading screen. Darren must drink from the noob cup or he goes to the land of incorrectness. P.S. I love your show. Incorrectness corrector out. Yeah!
Oh, wow! I dare say it sounds like Darren is in trouble now.
Let's see him get out of drinking from the noob cup this time, Hex. He's
Yeah.
going to be drinking from that all day.
Totally.
All day. have to get a noob cup hat with drinks and you can just drink from it.
Oh, with the curly straw.
Hello, Darren speaking.
Hey, Darren, guess what?
You're a noob?
Yes, I mean, no.
Oh, just kidding. That wouldn't be a guess. It's more of a well-known fact, is it not?
Nuh-uh, you're the noob buster. In fact, the Spawnling here has a bone to pick with you and says you were incorrect and should drink from the noob cup.
Oh, well, then I would be delighted to explain why I was right and why they are wrong. What is the problem?
Well, they said that your method of building a TARDIS was a bit rubbish, and that instead of using a nether portal, you should have used a command block and teleported people to a bigger room.
Well, that would work, except unless you'd specify otherwise, I would assume that we're talking about designing things in the default survival mode, and command blocks cannot be obtained in survival mode without cheats. Otherwise, of course, there are many ways to do things in Minecraft, especially if you want to start using mods.
I'm pretty sure the footage you used was taken from creative mode. How do you explain that, mister?
Well, the guide was still correct. I just don't have time to actually do everything brick by brick from scratch in survival mode. I am a busy bot.
Well, I guess your method and idea still work, so I don't think it would be fair to say that it was incorrect. So we can let you off the hook this time, Darren.
Oh, Hex, can't we just give him a yellow card at least?
Handing out a yellow noob card incorrectly is in itself a yellow card worthy offense, Bajo. And you're already on one strike, mister. One more, then it's the noob cup for you.
All right, you're off the hook.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, well, while you're here, Darren, we have another question about the portal, and it's from Anthea in Sydney, New South Wales.
Hey, GGSP, I love your show and all, but the thing is, I have a complaint. Darren said you can make a nether portal, but I can't. Explain this to me. I put 10 obsidian cubes in arch position and 2 polished andesite cubes on the edges and set it on fire with the flint and the stone. This maybe is not working because I have the pocket edition, but shouldn't it still work? P.S. Hex is awesome, and Bajo is a noob. Anthea out. No, I'm not. Well, that should work, Anthea.
Indeed it should, even in the pocket edition. But I will note, you have no need for the polished andesite blocks, although that shouldn't affect the portal. One reason it may not be working, though, is if you're playing on an old world map. Old worlds don't have the nether, so even if you have a correctly built portal, it won't light, since it has nowhere to go.
Oh, that sounds like the most likely explanation then, but thanks for that, Darren. On that note, we're actually out of time for this week, but if you'd like to ask us a question, then you can go here and send it in.
Beatbox us out, Darren.
Beep. Boop. Beep. Boop. Boop. Boop.
Back to studio.
Beep. Beep. Boop.
I feel like maybe you don't know what beatboxing actually
Bajo
is.
is a noob. Bajo is a mega noob. Bajo's a noob. Bajo's a noob.
Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold the Fafnir Night is a party-based RPG that will see you questing to reach a fabled castle in the clouds.
The Etrian Odyssey games have been around since the first Nintendo DS. This installment is a revamped version of the second game in the series for the 3DS. It's an RPG for lovers of RPGs.
Yes, and there are 2 ways to play this, story mode or classic mode. The difference being that while classic lets you build characters from scratch, story mode hands you a set cast of heroes and an abundance of dialogue scenes.
My name is Ariana.
I played in story mode, but I was able to name at least one character. These are the adventures of Bajo Poopy.
I'm not sure that's the most heroic name you could have chosen, but anyway. I played in classic mode and created a whole custom team of good game heroes. But regardless of which mode you choose, you'll be playing through the same set of multi-floor dungeons. And these are heaps of fun to explore.
They are very maze-like. And in fact, a key mechanic of Etrian Odyssey is using the bottom screen on the 3DS to do your own mapping. You can draw in walls and place things like doors, or make a note of where the treasure is. You can get horribly lost if you don't chart your exploration.
Yeah, it's just like old PC games where you had no auto map and you had to map it yourself with a pen and paper. You can turn auto map on if you really want to. But I found the map making really satisfying, knowing I'd mapped out an entire floor and found all the secrets.
It can help prevent you from running into trouble, that's for sure. Because there are some fearsome monsters wandering around these labyrinths. Most encounters occur after a set number of steps your party takes, but more powerful monsters, called foes, actually show up on your map so that you can avoid them. Until you're strong enough to face them.
Yeah, and that's a puzzle in itself, trying to get through a room without triggering a foe encounter. I was making them fall in holes, or trapping them behind drawbridges. Anything to avoid fighting them.
Oh, once in battle, however, you have a huge array of talents and skills to use against your enemy. Your melee fighters can do big punishing hits and deal massive damage, while your spellcasters, ranged fighters, or animal companions can soften up the enemy with curses, or even attempt to bind their arms or legs to stop them unleashing deadly attacks.
Yeah, this is classic turn-based combat. Stressing over your finite supply of skill points as you juggle attacks with healing to keep your party up. There are some super tough boss fights. We died a lot, you guys.
Yeah, I found the game quite difficult overall. I did a lot of backtracking to town to heal up in the inn and do some equipment management,
Help you with anything else?
gaining those incremental upgrades to skills to find my next run just slightly easier. At times it felt like a bit of a grind, but I was still hooked.
Yeah, you do find yourself going back through areas you've already mapped just to grind a bit of XP. I really appreciated that you could warp to entrances and exits of levels rather than walking it all in real time. Otherwise it would have been a real slog.
Something that gives this RPG a unique flavour is the ability to combine ingredients to discover meal recipes. These can give your party certain buffs, and you can also advertise them to different areas of the town to earn cash while you're off adventuring.
It's pretty quirky to have a cooking mechanic in this kind of RPG, but then this game has a lot of quirks. I thought the dialogue was a bit goofy too, but I guess it all helps to give it some real personality and humour.
Governance of Hyligard. What are you saying?
And that contrasts with the difficulty of the dungeon crawling.
I think if you've not played many RPGs like this, you might find it a bit intimidating at first. I mean, there are 10 different character classes to choose from when you first create your heroes, from alchemists to troubadours. So you probably need to experiment a bit to figure out what kind of characters you want in your party.
Yeah, you really need a good balance of skills, or you'll find the combat harder than it already is. What are you giving it overall, Hex?
Well, this is a really deep dungeon crawler. There is so much to always be doing, tweaking your party to be the best that it can be. Get invested and you'll be playing this for a long time. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yes, this is a meaty RPG, but be ready for it to get difficult if you don't know exactly what you're doing. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Well, sadly, that's just about it for this week, but before we finish up, Darren, please, old buddy, give us the answer to your challenge.
Affirmative, Bajo. At the start of the show, I asked you this. In Kerbal Space Program, what is the name of the planet that represents our own planet, Jupiter? And the answer is... the green gas giant, Jool.
Oh, that's a tricky planet to get to in the game because it's so far away.
Yeah, a bit of perseverance and complex mathematics will get you there. Next week on the show, we pummel our brains with puzzles in Lumo.
Plus, what do you say we exercise our vocabulary to slay monsters in LetterQuest Remastered?
Did you know I recalibrate my vocabulary every morning by syncing myself with a variety of online language databases?
Really, Darren? Does that mean you know lots of different languages?
Oui, oui, ya, si, si.
Oh, wow, your talents never cease to amaze me, Darren. Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Darren out.
All right, Darren. What's the word in Hindi for cat?
Billy.
Oh, what about in Lithuanian?
That would be khaki.
What about Klingon?
The word cat doesn't exist in Klingon.
Ah!
We totally got him.